Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. Welcome back to another News I Missed, where I go over news I missed. Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital and a well-known gold bull and a hater of Bitcoin, recently had to deal with the revelation that his son actually owns Bitcoin. Well, yesterday, he offered crypto enthusiasts the chance to rub it in by sending his son some more Bitcoin for his 18th birthday. He said, "Since so many of you Bitcoin guys are ribbing me because my son bought Bitcoin, why not rub it in by gifting him some Bitcoin as a belated birthday present? He turned 18 yesterday. He won't lose his," and he gave the kid's wallet address. As Decrypt reported, Peter Schiff regularly challenges regular crypto enthusiasts and famous industry figures alike, arguing that gold, unlike Bitcoin, has real use cases and has proven itself as a means of preserving capital throughout thousands of years of human history. So the news is, this guy has hated Bitcoin since 1988. He just does not like it. For whatever his reason might actually be. I assume that he's probably smart enough to understand that Bitcoin is far superior to gold in many ways. Just even the simple argument, hey, let's transfer this $1 billion worth of value across the ocean. Let's see who can do it quicker. You take a plane, I'll use my keyboard. Oh wait, it's already there. This was also fairly popular. This is why I think I have it as the first thing. I mean, it's not even the audacity. It's just more like have some self-respect for yourself, dude. Why don't you buy your own son some Bitcoin if it's actually his? Like, I think it even says it somewhere. I think he has like $450 worth of Bitcoin altogether. Like, yeah, it's right here. I feel like if you're that rich and you're such a gold bug and you've made such a huge following for yourself, buy your kid a whole Bitcoin and be like, oh, my kid now has a whole Bitcoin. It's not going to go anywhere because I don't believe in it because I'm ridiculous, but look at what my kid has. Anyway, I'm fearful because I don't want to actually check this address because I know in my heart some people sent that kid Bitcoin. I don't know if they thought they were trying to get back at Peter Schiff or what it was. Don't decrease the amount of Bitcoin you have trying to give it to the son of a rich person. It just doesn't make any sense. Continue accumulating for your family and for yourself, and just, I mean, what? It's just absolute nonsense. Like I said, I can't check the address. Like I refuse to. Same exact thing when that whole Twitter fiasco happened and they got like 10,000 transactions in an hour. Anyway, that's the Peter Schiff birthday news, and let's move on. Next up, also in Sure news, a major Australian financial services firm is suing Ripple over a trademark infringement involving the use of, and I quote, pay ID. End quote. According to a court document filed on the 21st of August in the Federal Court of Australia, New South Wales Registry, what a long name, New Payments Platform Australia, NPPA, has sued Ripple over the unauthorized use of its brand and trademark, and I quote, pay ID. NPPA claims that Pay ID was first launched in Australia in February of 2018 and backed by an AUD $3.3 million advertising campaign to develop the brand name. The filing outlines Ripple's use of a similar Pay ID branded service in Australia as part of the blockchain startups Open Payment Coalition, which includes 40 partners globally. NPPA CEO Adrian Lavny says that there is evidence that 3 of the OPC partners, Flash FX, BTC Markets, and Independent Reserve, located in Australia, may have incorrectly believed there was an association between Ripple and the NPPA. So is their argument that Ripple has something in Australia, and Ripple is using the term Pay ID. And that because this company, the NPPA, had a $3 million advertising campaign, that Ripple should have therefore known that Pay ID was a thing in Australia. First of all, okay, this is just my opinion on the situation. I know no parties involved, obviously. I feel like Pay ID is a fairly common thing that a lot of people would be using. Even if it was like ID Pay, or like Pay Me, or Pay My ID, I feel like it's not that uncommon that people would throw those two things together. If you have a payment service and you have identification attached to it, and the idea that Ripple, or any other company for that matter, would have known that in 2018, an Australian company spent $3 million to advertise Pay ID. So, of course, as one might have imagined, this is incredibly popular news. Not because Pay ID is involved, not because people like San Francisco, or not because people like Australian New South Wales Registry, New Payments Platform, NPPA. It has to do with the fact that Ripple is being sued again. I wish we had more grown-ups in the cryptocurrency space, but alas, we do not. The cryptocurrency space is run by 12-year-olds who think that things like this are absolutely spectacular. So, without really having to dig much further into this, yes, Ripple's being sued again because of the word Pay ID. I mean, listen, you got to get it whichever way you can. The other guy sued Ripple because he lost, what was it, $200? And he's now, I think, suing them for millions. I don't know the exact amount, but I assume he's not just suing them for $250 back. Especially after all the court fees. And yeah, this was all over the place. And we're going to move on. Next up, Bitcoin has seemingly entered no man's land, with the price ping-ponging between 11,000 and 12,000 US dollars. A top analyst has corroborated this sentiment, recently noting that neither his bull nor bear case has been confirmed. Chances are that this consolidation will resolve upward, though according to the that's a weird sentence. According to the new analysis, this analysis suggested that there is little on-chain resistance stopping Bitcoin from rallying to new local highs and beyond. According to a recent data from Whale Map, shared by a crypto trader, there is little on-chain resistance stopping Bitcoin from rallying from current levels. Referencing the chart below, the trader wrote, "To add to this, the chart shows where Bitcoin were accumulated at." Whoa, that's a weird sentence. What do you see? There are very few bag holders left, meaning there is little sell pressure left. The only real sell pressure now is people taking profit. This even came out before the entire Fed information thing that we had. I've said this for a while now, and I have to learn patience, because I assume maybe sound gets to cryptocurrency traders a lot slower than I recently assumed or have expected. It's fairly obvious that rich people are in the market. Got it? Yeah, we all understand that. It's fairly obvious that they're all also accumulating massive amounts of cryptocurrencies. Also understood. Even beside the richest people on the planet, it's fairly obvious that me, you, all of us here, I'm going to say about a good 80% of us, because I'm sure there are people listening who just don't like Bitcoin. That's not our problem. And are accumulating Bitcoin as best we can in some sort of way. You know, maybe not an entire Bitcoin at a time, but even if it's just 1/100th of a Bitcoin. And then you talk about the other people who are not listening to this channel, and just kind of everywhere else, there's very little sell pressure. And this is why I was flabbergasted when Bitcoin's price didn't skyrocket after we got the news, the official news. Like, I watched the Fed discussion. It was like a 44-minute video, and then Jerome Powell had his own little 28-minute segment where he awkwardly spoke into a camera, that the US dollar is going to continue to be inflated forever and ever until all of this is resolved. But the issue is that the inflation is also going to cause more problems down the line, especially when we haven't even discussed the actual trillions of dollars worth of debt that is still not going to be paid down, not only by the country, but also by credit card debtors and people who have student debt and many other forms of debt within the US. So it's clear that Bitcoin should have moved a lot higher, but it didn't. Bitcoin actually even fell after the speech, and I don't know if it's simply people figuring out mathematically how to control Bitcoin's price, making sure that Bitcoin continues trending sideways. Not sure what it is, but Bitcoin is, at least according to me, in my eyes, extremely undervalued. There's just no real reason. So the point is, someone figured this out as well on the chart, and maybe it was all the news that we've got in the last 3 months that there's not a lot of Bitcoin left floating around on the market, and that any Bitcoin that's on cryptocurrency exchanges is being taken off. And without further ado, let's move on. Next up, Coinbase Custody and Bison Trails announced on Wednesday that users would now be able to stake their Solana tokens on Bison's platforms. You heard that right. In an announcement posted on its website, blockchain infrastructure firm Bison Trails said that they would allow SOL token holders to partake in the Solana network through secure offline storage to stake the tokens. This would allow users to move the SOL token to Bison Trails' platform. While Solana has yet to determine the reward rate for users stake their tokens, they said it's a warm-up period for staking tokens, allowing them to become active staking token holders. There's a reason why it's called News I Missed, not because I even went over this by myself. Here's my opinion. Here's what I think. Here's what I'm going to assume. Not only have you never heard of Solana tokens, you are probably never going to be staking Solana tokens. Anyone who's probably going to be staking Solana tokens through Coinbase Custody are going to be very rich people who probably had their hand in the cookie basket, cookie jar, the cookie bathtub before anybody. Cookie bathtub sounds really delicious. Before anybody else. I purposefully did not include the other 16 articles that were very similar to this. There are an enormous amount of cryptocurrency exchanges who are listing tons of DeFi tokens and tons of staking coins back to back, over and over. There was an article that some crypto exchange listed 16 DeFi coins, and I'm like, why? Why are you all so obsessed with making sure that people lose their money? If we lived in well, we don't. That's the problem. If we lived in a more logical world where cryptocurrency exchanges were like, hey, let's make sure that they only focus on the top coins, we wouldn't be going through a lot of these issues that we have now and that we're going to have in the future. It's called greed. It is how the world runs, and there's no indications that that's going to be stopping anytime soon. So, my opinion, along with Solana and many other coins, you're not going to be staking these coins. You're not going to be buying these coins. There's probably little chance that you're going to be selling your XRP or your BTC or your ETH or even your Chainlink for Solana tokens. So wonderful that these coins keep getting added to Coinbase and to Binance and to every other platform. But I'm going to assume, if history is the same as it has been for the last 6-7 years, you will not even know the names of a lot of these coins in 2 years, because in 2 years, a lot of these coins will have disappeared and you'll be hearing about the new coins. We will have TTOs or MTOs, whatever new letters they decide to throw together. And I even assume that DeFi won't even be a word that we're going to hear. I assume it's going to be something else. I think a lot of the DeFi tokens will still be around, but that won't be the new keyword, key phrase that gets people into the market. Anyway, that's the Coinbase news, and let's move on. Next up, in rich people talking about Bitcoin, on Thursday, 17 top Federal Reserve officials explained that the committee plans to let inflation run hotter than usual, or above the usual 2% rate for a duration of time. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech was considered a major policy shift, and a number of economists commented on the central bank's move. Senior Director of Policy at Visa, Andy Yee, said Powell's inflation statements were historical and people should opt out with Bitcoin. According to the Federal Reserve, the central bank would be allowing inflation to run higher than 2%, but normally, even historically, if you look at the chart, some year they make like 1.8%, and some years they even do like 3.2%. I think it's their normal target for inflation, but they usually go past that anyway. So I'm interested to see what the numbers are going to look like when we know that they printed trillions of dollars this year. Just the saying. The Fed also said it wouldn't hold a bias towards labor markets, policy framework, proposed leverage, average. Following the Fed's major shift to let inflation run rampant, a few analysts and economists commented. Andy Yee, a senior director of policy at Visa, tweeted about the Fed's latest move to let inflation run hotter than usual. Jerome Powell's speech today will be made for the history books. He said, never in the history of mankind was so much stolen from so many by so few. Opt out with Bitcoin. For those of you who don't get that, I mean, hopefully you do. Things are looking crazy, and they're going to be crazier. It's clear that all of this is the word wrong. Something's not correct with all of it. The entirety of the year. So buy Bitcoin instead. If you pay attention to the amount of interest that we are getting from very wealthy people right now, and I assume that Andy Yee, one of the policy directors of Visa, probably does not live in a studio apartment and probably has more than $5,000 in his bank account, just assuming. I'm also going to assumption that he probably owns Bitcoin himself if he is talking about this. Nonetheless, all of the, was it Visa and MasterCard? Didn't they also just allow crypto payments? What was the thing with him like about a month ago? The point is, yes, it's when the discussions that are floating around right now about the future protection that Bitcoin will offer, coming from very rich people who are now telling the public, hey, you should be getting into this new wonderful thing as well. It's a bit obscene. It's kind of insane. And it also makes me wonder why or when Bitcoin's price will finally price all of this in. What were we talking about yesterday? There was something, it was like Bitcoin's price has priced in the Fed's, and it hasn't. It has not. It really has not priced any. I don't think Bitcoin has even priced in this year yet. The fall that Bitcoin was around $9,000, and then we dropped to $3,500 as the stock market fell during this year as well, and then quickly made its way back up to around 10,000, and then slammed over 12,000. That's only relatively a $2,500 gain from where we previously were before the stock market fell down, and we had the news that the cryptocurrency market just must have been correlated with stocks. Bitcoin hasn't priced in 1% of this year yet. None of it. Not the policies, not the events going on, not the inflation, not the money printing, not even the job losses, not even the people who have lost their homes, who are going to be losing their homes, who are not going to ever have their jobs back. Like, none of this has actually been priced in. I don't know when it's going to happen. And even more so, I don't say that people should run towards the words of rich people when they say things like this. I take things like this I've always taken them as a signal from rich people to other rich people, telling them to enter the market, to accumulate as much as they possibly can, and to be completely frank, to get as much Bitcoin as they can so that other poorer people can't. These are always the things that I hear when I read things like this. When we keep getting all this news that this person owns 25,000 Bitcoin, this owns 35,000 Bitcoin, 14,000 Bitcoin, remind this company purchased 19,000 Bitcoin during the exact same time. Man, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what more I could say on this. I'm just going to move on. But it is my mind pulses when I hear information like this and I go over stuff like this, because I really think people don't get it, especially because it's so easy to deflect or make people more interested in DeFi and these other projects. These projects are garbage. These projects are crap. You should not be putting, the only reason you should be putting your money into DeFi projects, in my opinion, this is how I see life, is if you are trying to eventually sell them off to buy more Bitcoin. That's it. There's so many other shiny things and shiny stones and shiny rocks that are being thrown in front of other people that they're picking up, and they're not keeping their eye on the prize. I don't understand why it's happening. I assume it's just greed. Anyway, Bitcoin's underpriced, Bitcoin's undervalued. We'll get there at some point, and I think I'll finally be able to breathe a sigh of relief. But until that day, let's move on. Next up, Neo is in the news. Neo, a public blockchain and smart contracts platform, announced that it has integrated with the Coinbase-led open source project Rosetta. They said, Neo integrates with Rosetta, an open source project led by Coinbase. We look forward to work together with Rosetta, improving protocol integration processes in order to build the next-gen internet. In its blog, Neo said the collaboration will improve its protocol processes to build a decentralized economy of the future. This decentralized integration, which is also known as Web3 or next-gen internet, will help the firm expand, especially by optimizing a smart contract system. Do any of you know what Neo is, or what Neo? I'm pretty sure Neo was before Ant Shares. I think that was the original name of it. Neo is meant to be an Ethereum destroyer, as many other coins are. This is one in the many line of thousands, I think it's about 25 coins, that have been released or created or rebranded themselves as a way to get rid of Ethereum. This was a very big thing in 2017, where people thought that for some reason Neo was going to pass by Ethereum. It didn't. A lot of these projects, I give you my opinion, I feel like they're just trying to hold on at this point. I assume nearly none of you own Neo. Nearly none of you probably have any intentions to buy Neo, especially with so many other coins right now looking really shiny and potentially money-makey. A lot of the news, not even in this video, but a lot of the other news that I missed is usually about coins who are trying to have partnerships or trying to do so. And so I saw this news touted around a lot of places as Neo partners with Coinbase. And then you find out it's an open source project called Rosetta that's led by Coinbase. So I think people choose the words in their articles in a certain way just to kind of let people think what they want to think. I firmly believe myself, a lot of these projects just aren't going to make it. We have multiple other smart contract platforms which are going to probably do exceedingly well. And I don't think, at least at the moment, in my view, that Neo is going to bring about the next-gen internet. I just simply do not. However, if they do, I'll eat my own words in 5 years and make a video on how amazing Neo is and how great they are and all that other stuff. But as it stands, that's probably not going to happen. And without further ado, let's move on. Next up, also in wow, this is popular news. The CEO of crypto derivatives exchange BitMEX says he's now investing in DeFi. Wow. In a new blog post, Hayes says he is allocating small amounts of capital, it's probably like $35,000 because that's small because he's rich, in DeFi tokens to ride the wave and learn about the space. He says that his risk for any potential losses will compensate for the chance to learn about the new products and services that 100X, the parent company of BitMEX, can build. Okay. He said, I fully expect to lose most of all the money I invest into any of these projects. In my head, I like to believe that I can read market sentiment and get out of the top of the bull market. But in reality, like most other traders, I will buy high, hold, and sell well after the top. Hayes says he holds 3 of the newcomers DeFi coins. They are Yearn Finance, Aave, which is Lend, and Polkadot. Cool, awesome, wonderful. This was everywhere. Like a lot of places, this was really popular, and I assume it has to do with a rich person being in the DeFi space. If we are getting indications that a lot of these coins are going to propel or skyrocket, I don't have the price predictions for you. I can tell you one of them that I've seen. If we're getting indications that any of these coins could potentially 100x, of course, rich people will throw their money into it. Or really, I mean, a lot of people are going to throw their money into it for the chance to be able to say that they 100x'd their money inside of something. I saw something about a day or two ago talking about that Polkadot could potentially hit $100. Is that going to happen? Who knows? Is it a possibility? Of course, everything is possible during a raging bull market. Yeah, that's the news. Like, that was the actual news, is that he owns 3 DeFi coins. So I guess that makes them valid because, somebody whose name we heard before has them, right? Doesn't that make you want to go buy something because a rich person has it? I mean, it does for me. See, did you hear my sarcasm? I shrugged my shoulders, which you couldn't see, so I'll let that one slide. But yeah, that's the Arthur Hayes owns DeFi coins news. I'm on. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure most of these people own at least 50 coins. Just realistically, all the major figures in the cryptocurrency space, while they may own large swaths of Bitcoin and Ether and potentially XRP, they probably have allegedly, maybe, I don't know, they probably have all invested in Litecoin. They probably own Bcash because of the fork. They probably own Chainlink and EOS and many other coins as well because they want to hedge their bets. It's really easy when you have about 100K to spread across multiple coins. You can just kind of see where the space goes. Anyway, that's that. Let's move away from that. Next up, the co-founder and CEO of Gemini Exchange, Tyler Winklevoss, has published a report pleading the case for a $500,000 Bitcoin. Published under Winklevoss Capital, the report begins by explaining that gold, oil, and even the US dollar have been reliable stores of value. However, times they are a-changin', and they are no longer as reliable as they used to be. Therefore, Bitcoin is ultimately the only long-term protection against inflation. The report says, and I quoteth, "We believe there are fundamental problems with gold, oil, and the US dollar as stores of value going forward. Below, we will make the case that Bitcoin is ultimately the only long-term protection against inflation." End quote. The report goes on to explain the individual flaws of gold, oil, and the USDA as store of values. With respect to oil, it explains that the idea of scarcity no longer applies, and that there is more oil underground than initially thought. Additionally, demand might be affected by renewable energy and measures to curb global warming. This is actually a really big thing happening right now for those of you who have a chance to be able to do so. There are many articles. So there are YouTube videos that other people have made. I'm not making a video like this because I don't talk about oil or petrol, where they show actual figures and actual news articles and people talking on the news and in front of councils, what have you, in the 30s and 40s and 50s, that they assumed that by the end of the 1960s that there would be no more petrol left in the ground. None left. So they were really trying to figure out how to move forward with this. As technology advances and we have new ways of being able to dig into the ground, they figured out, oh, wait, one more level lower, guys, I found it. It's right here. There's a lot. My feet are wet. And then the idea was, okay, by the 1990s, we'll have used all of it up. As we got to the 80s, technology had advanced and we figured out, oh, there's a lot more. And the technology that we keep developing and having and making with these machines, we have actually figured out that there's probably a lot more oil, petrol in the ground that will last us for a very long time. The issue is that trend is completely changing. No one really wants to use oil. No one wants to use petrol. We're moving towards wind power, solar power, other forms. Hydropower is also becoming a very big thing right now, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency mining or even just in general. I don't know if you live in a country, I live in a country where this is happening, when you drive down the street and the buildings and the homes and the houses are covered in solar panels because, that's how the times they are changing. Gold, on the other hand, has a fundamental flaw that its total supply is unknown. I'll get to that in a second. While gold remains scarce on Earth, the galaxy is filled with it. With commercial asteroid mining on the minds of determined individuals such as Elon Musk, the supply of gold will surely be affected once this feat is achieved. I know this sounds like science fiction. There's so much free information on the internet, and it is necessary for you. It behooves you to read as much information as humanly possible, even if it's just watching videos. Absorb this information that we actually have. A lot of people keep thinking that a lot of the technology that we hear about just simply doesn't exist, or will take us a good 400 or 500 years to be able to do so. It's kind of the same exact way. Did you ever see the video where, I think it was from CNBC, I don't know who it was, it doesn't matter. They were talking to truck drivers, and they were like, hey, when do you think self-driving trucks will be around? And they're like, well, not within my lifetime. And they're like, I'm assuming it'll take a good 70, 80, 100 years. And they took these guys to like this huge factory where they had already made these self-driving trucks. And this video is from like 2018, 2019. And they showed them that they already have self-driving trucks. And they were like, well, the technology is going to have to be really good because they won't be able to drive through snow, sleet, ice, and rain. And they're like, no, actually, they can do that perfectly. And they're like, well, there's no human behind for those of you who don't know how a lot of AI and technology works, you continuously feed it millions of different scenarios and millions of different cases of these things happening. You give it scenarios and tests for the other machines to drive on top of ice, to drive on top of rain, to drive during snow, to drive during a snowstorm, to drive during a hailstorm. The computer learns very rapidly. The computer can learn hundreds of millions of different scenarios over the course of a couple of days or weeks. So it's kind of the same exact thing. People don't really get how fast technology is moving. This is why I keep talking about automation, and people are like, well, it's going to take a while for that to happen. No, we have self-driving buses, we have self-driving cars, we have self-driving trucks, we have self-driving trains. We have supermarkets that don't really need people working inside of them because there are all the cameras everywhere. And this is no longer just an Amazon thing with all the cameras everywhere. These are actually in multiple places. There are supermarkets in France that even have the walk-in, there are cameras on the sky everywhere kind of thing. I don't think people really understand. And the idea is that definitely within our lifetime, they're going to start simply mining asteroids that are slowly moving past Earth. They'll be able to land on it, blow them up, take what they need, the resources, and kind of bring it back to Earth or to Mars or wherever they're trying to actually have the resources. The entire idea goes the same way when it comes to sourcing gold from the ground. We believed as humans for a very long time that gold was incredibly scarce. Why did we believe so? Because we only had shovels and picks and little other things like that, and we could run the water over the gold and we could find it and go, yeah, I found some gold. Part of the issue is that with the new technology that we have, I think it's a factor of, was it 2 every 10? I forgot what the thing is. It's that every 10 years, we've moved further in technology, especially when it comes to gold mining, than we previously believed 10 years before. And we can usually double our efficiency when it comes to mining gold by a factor of 2 every 10 years. So as you keep going 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, if we were really good at it before, we're going to be really good at it. If we go from 50 over 10 years to 100, factor of 2 of the next 10 years, and the next year we can do 200 and then 400. Within our lifetimes, by the time our kids have kids, and we are, I was going to say old and gray, but we have CRISPR, they're going to have figured out that there's so much gold in the ground that it'll have completely devalued itself. And when they talk about the actual total supply of gold is unknown, this is also true. I'm giving you all this information because it's now the time for you to know to know. This is when I talk about gold as an actual store of value, or gold being amazing, or Bitcoin being able to absorb the value of gold. It's going to happen. We don't know how much gold there is. Tons of gold is being picked out of the ground. There's no actual number supply. And this is why Bitcoin mathematically, because when it comes to investments, when it comes to money, people care about numbers. We know for a fact that there are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. 18 point something million have been mined. Anywhere between 4 to 6 million Bitcoin has been completely lost and gone forever. This is why that number is also incredibly important. When you're factoring in how much money you want to put into the market, if someone told you there are only 21 million homes on the entire planet, but around 6 million of them are lost and gone forever, well, the other homes become a lot more attractive. We know exactly how much Bitcoin there is, how much there's going to be, how much is floating around, especially when we have all these analytics firms, companies who are checking out all the actual numbers, and we don't know that for gold. It gives us a falsified gold price because it's based off of kind of the idea that maybe there's only this much gold in the ground and that we're not mining that much, but we are. We're mining tons of gold, copper, palladium every single year. And also the gold, first of all, a lot of gold is only traded by paper, which is also another big issue because we also really still have no idea how much gold is actually transacting back and forth because people aren't trading in actual gold. You get into the same exact discussion when it comes to diamonds. A lot of diamonds are sourced from the ground in some atrocious ways sometimes. But what happens is look into documentaries on the diamond industry. What actually ends up happening is if you dig in one day around 100 diamonds, the actual companies only choose around 3 or 4 of them. This is just an example. They're not only finding exactly 100 per day. They may only take 3 or 4 of them, polish them up, and then kind of send them out into the world. The other diamonds are kind of just left in vaults or in caves or in Batman's house, wherever other diamonds are left. The diamond supply in the world is absolutely massive. Like, diamonds aren't that rare. They're created by pressure that's happened, and we can find them all over the place. It's kind of the same exact thing for pearls. But you have companies who go in and make sure that they control the entire creation of and supply of these things, and they only release around 3 to 5% of them actually into the world. You can even find it, like there were marketing ploys. It's kind of the same exact thing. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Nobody wanted diamonds around 80, 90 years ago. It just wasn't a thing. People didn't care about diamonds, but they had so many of them. So they made these marketing campaigns to actually get the diamonds out there and make it seem as though you had to spend money to be able to have your girlfriend loved you. This is the only way that when you were getting married, if you wanted to make it last forever, you know, your ring is a symbolism. It's a circle because it symbolizes eternity. And you give her this ring with a really expensive diamond on top of it because it shows how much you love her. You can find all the actual documentation and videos and people discussing creating the actual diamond industry. It's the same exact way for all the other industries, the same exact way for the creation of Santa Claus. It was created by about 3 companies who decided that they needed a way for people to buy more things during a certain season. It's all just money. All of it. All of it is just about money. It's all about finding a way to control the supply of something and then making sure that other people get into it. And then you go, oh, look at that. It's really rare. Oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy. Like, we know that oil isn't rare. We keep finding more and more of it every single year. The further we dig down, the more that we find. We know that gold and silver and all these other things aren't rare, is that certain companies, they buy up a huge portion of them and they lock them away. They release a certain portion into the world, which then gets created into coins and other figurines and metals and all this other stuff. And the rest of it is kind of kept away. None of this stuff is actually rare. And then the moment that we're really able to completely go to other planets or to start mining asteroids, which is probably once again going to happen within our lifetime, what happens to all these things that we believed were rare for a very long time because we only had shovels and axes and picks? They're not that rare. Everything has to do with money, like I'm telling you. This is why, and I apologize, and I'm not really, but for not being able to tell you the names of these documentaries because there's just so much out there. There was even a documentary where I watched where they were talking about how they even got women into smoking. Really crazy. They had an event where it was only known that men did it. It was a very big thing. Any woman who did it was seen as dirty or less than. And they had a protest one day that was happening. I believe it was somewhere in New York City. And they told, I think, 6 women to walk towards the front of the line at the very end of it, and also protest as well, which was also very, unseen that a woman would be at a protest in general. The 6 women walked towards the very front, and the guys were asking them with the cameras, why are you gals here? What your dames doing over here? And they told them, we're protesting for our right to be here as well. And they all took out cigarettes and started smoking it, and that became a huge controversy. But women all around the world started doing it as well, because it showed that they were independent and can do what they wanted, and therefore it became a symbol. Like, you can even find the old advertisements from the 40s and 50s of the women with like the really long cigarettes, because it was seen as it became a feminine thing and an empowering thing to be able to do so. Everything just has to do with marketing and just has to do with money. I promise you, look into it. And none of that's tinfoil hat. This is all like actual documented cases with videos and cameras, and you can even find like recordings of people talking about this stuff in rooms together. It's really, really fascinating. Dragging it all back to what we were talking about before. Yes, Bitcoin is mathematically undervalued. Yes, Bitcoin is rarer and more scarcer than many of these other assets. It's the same exact way when people keep saying, well, this new cryptocurrency came out and I know for a fact that it has less coins than Bitcoin. That has nothing to do with it. The idea is that Bitcoin came out first, and therefore every other coin is a mimic of Bitcoin. This is how rich people look at it. I'm sharing something with you right now. When you look at an actual asset, if I create something and someone else creates something that looks similar to it, I've still created the first one. It has precedence in the market, especially if yours doesn't have the same network effect that mine actually has. Man, like it's so completely insane. At some point, the gold market is going to be absorbed by Bitcoin. I think this is going to, first of all, I think the world is going to be flipped on top of its head. First of all, we're already laying sideways. We're not even walking upright anymore. We're kind of laying on the floor, and we just need somebody to kind of put us on our head. When we start seeing Bitcoin really raising in value, and I don't know when that's going to be, I assumed it should have happened years ago, just with the actual information that we have of who's in Bitcoin, even the potential of countries that they've been buying Bitcoin. And when you get the actual assets and things that we thought were scarce are actually not scarce, really playing into the market, and also the US dollar being inflated and many other currencies being inflated and many other governments and banks around the world falling is the nicest way of saying it, like really nicest way of saying it. I think people will really get that this was all set up a couple of years ago. And I really feel that, once again, I think rich people saw all of this coming. I don't think they saw 19 coming, but I think they saw a reckoning that was going to be taking place. And this is where it's all leading us. Anyway, I mean, okay, I'm going to move on, because if I don't, I'll start spewing out other things. Really look into all the stuff I was talking about. It's incredibly fascinating. Oh boy. Next up. Jeez, I'm exhausted. My goodness, if you could see me. Flustered. SBI FX Trade will become the first Forex exchange firm in Japan to support CFD trading for cryptos, including Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP. The latest reports indicate that the Japanese financial giant SBI Holdings wants to launch contracts for difference trading for major cryptocurrencies. Starting on the 31st of August, SBI will begin CFD trading services on crypto assets BTC, XRP, and ETH. Based on the announcement, this service will be offered via SBI's foreign exchange-focused arm, SBI FX Trade. SBI also said the platform is now accepting new account registrations in readiness for the upcoming launch. The new trading offering will enable SBI users to trade crypto CFD contracts against the US dollar and the Japanese yen. A preliminary review shows that the platform will support up to 6 trading pairs. SBI in 2017 was a major player in the space. SBI is one of the largest banks in Japan. They partnered with Ripple many years ago. I think the head of SBI owns a fraction of Ripple. I don't know the percentage. I think someone said it before in the comment section. I don't remember the actual number. I guess they're finally getting things going. The The entire SBI trading platform was supposed to have really launched in 2017. And then they told us it would launch at the beginning of 2018. And then they changed it to the middle of 2018. And I think they finally launched at the end of 2018, just kind of tired of waiting to launch, if you will. But I guess now they're opening back up for new registrations. I don't understand the need for the exclusivity in all of this. This is part of why I think Bakkt and many other platforms have had issues as well. Like, they keep launching these platforms that they assume billions of rich people will simply run towards and throw their money at them. But there are tons of other platforms that are not dedicated to rich people, and they're doing extremely well, like Binance. So we'll see where this all goes. I mean, it took them years to do this. So let's see if they're going to be successful in their launch. Who knows? That's the SBI news, and let's move on. Also, in fairly popular news, crypto exchange Shapeshift has sued its former senior engineer in Colorado Financial District Court for damages caused by his alleged theft of around $900,000 in BTC. As detailed in the exchange's Wednesday demand for jury trial, Azamat Mukhidinov allegedly siphoned 90 BTC away from his employer via malicious code and programs he is accused of having installed on its servers. This was everywhere. This was really popular. I don't know if it's because it sounds heisty and people like heist movies. I'm not sure if it was because it was near $1 million or because if it was Shapeshift, but I saw about 16 articles talking about this over the last couple of days. Yeah, and it's also a very weird photo. Like, is this him? Is this the guy? Is it him right there? Why did they choose that photo for a theft of the company? Yeah, not much we can really do about that, but apparently this took place allegedly. And yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, the stuff that makes it into cryptocurrency news is always quite odd. All right, let's move on. And to finish things off, and probably I don't want to say it's my favorite news article, but of course this was taking place. More than $50 billion worth of cryptocurrency fled China-based wallets in the past 12 months, according to the blockchain analytics firm Chainalysis. The Chinese government only allows its citizens to move $50,000 or less out of the country each year. Oh, wow, that's even less. It used to be $100,000 per year. Now, geez. So in China, you can only remove or take out $50,000 equivalent from your bank account out of the country per year. Wealthy Chinese citizens have traditionally gotten around these regulations by sinking money into real estate abroad. Sorry, my throat is killing me now. Have gone around this regulation by putting money into real estate abroad or by funneling investments through shell companies. They also have bought diamonds. They've bought art. It's really fascinating how they got a lot of money out of the market. Around 2012, 2013, there were billions of dollars each day that were flowing out of the country. And that's when they made it. So I think you had to, I forgot how they were getting around it. In around 2014, they made it $100K per year. And now it's only $50K, which is absolutely insane. Now some of these same citizens appear to be turning to crypto, according to a report from Chainalysis. They said over the last 12 months, with China's economy suffering due to trade wars and devaluation of the yuan at different points, but they also devalue their own currency. So that's not really, they do this on purpose. We've seen over $50 billion worth of crypto move from China-based addresses to overseas addresses. Obviously, not all of this is capital flight, but we can think of $50 billion as the absolute ceiling for capital flight via cryptocurrency from East Asia to other regions. Of course, this is going to happen. If you don't know what's happening here right now, it's time to educate yourself. I'm sure you can find a couple of articles and things that are currently taking place. People are fleeing massively, rapidly, especially if you have the money to do so. These people are gone. This was already, people foresaw this many years ago because it's a lot of the same from 8 to 10 years ago, now with more technology. And this is why, I don't know if you saw that real estate prices in Vancouver, in many parts of Canada, in France, in the UK, in Spain as well. I think Barcelona was one of the main areas. In Australia and I think one or two other countries, real estate prices were skyrocketing. And it's because people from here were putting their money into these countries. Into these countries and making sure that they were taking their capital out because things are a little crazy. But the idea that people are still doing it, but now with cryptocurrencies, is absolutely insane. Because people within this country are only allowed to do so over the counter. This is how they're able to buy. But this also then means that people are just buying in mass as much as they can, which they're legally able to do so. They can't trade it on cryptocurrency exchange platforms, but they're just sending it to another address, which is also crazy. Because imagine buying a diamond, imagine buying a piece of art, imagine buying a home or something like that, or imagine buying numbers on the screen, entering an address and sending it to your friend in London. Well, you got your money out of the country. That's exactly how you do it. I wonder what crypto they're using. I would assume it's probably Tether and or Bitcoin, which is going to be even crazier. I wholeheartedly assume that China is going to ban Bitcoin when it has private transactions. Wholeheartedly. Not even half joking. And I think many other major countries are going to do the exact same thing as well. Because, logic. Here, they want to control as much as humanly possible. And this is why there's no trading allowed. And you can only buy it over the counter. And I'm pretty sure you have to register in KYC, AML to heaven and back just to be able to do so. But then you get into the discussion of, after that, they probably want to know if you're selling it or where it's going. Now, imagine if they're private transactions. Well, now you can't buy it. We don't want you to buy it. Anyway, the future is going to be crazy. If you don't know that, I pray for you in many different ways, because the way that the economic policies of the world are changing so rapidly are mind-boggling. The way that money is being moved around, the way that value is being moved around, the way that governments are treating fiat currencies, the way that rich people have realized that something is wrong, and even other people, just not even rich people, and everyone's moving their capital to other places and even using Bitcoin as an actual store of value. I don't mean like a stable coin store of value, but more so, let me move my money into Bitcoin because I foresee the US dollar being devalued and the potential that Bitcoin's value could rise by 2,000, even if it's just by next year. Even if Bitcoin rose by just $2,000 to 15,000 US dollars per coin, that would still be a huge increase in the price of Bitcoin. I'm expecting it to do a lot more than that, but you would still have made more money than if you had kept your money in the US dollar or in the yen or in the pound. It's really crazy, and a lot of people aren't catching on to this. Once again, the rich people, they have it. They're buying up more Bitcoin every single day, and this is why when we had the news, what was it, somewhere around here, that like there's little resistance presenting a rally. Like there's nothing really stopping Bitcoin from flying up right now. There's absolutely nothing. Zero. Except for the idea that other people may put out articles and say, oh, Bitcoin's looking bearish. That's nonsense. That is absolute complete nonsense. Pay attention to everything that's happened this year. All the people who've told us that they've gotten into Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin they have, how much they're accumulating. Bitcoin should be easily anywhere between 15 to 20,000, and that's conservative. That is a hyper conservative number right now. All right. I need to finish this video so that I can get back to my life because I'm going to completely keep freaking out. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Snacky Chan, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain Decentralized, Peter Navarro Williams, David James, Attila the Han, Yasha Harari, Oscar Maldonado, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Joshua Vineyard, Martin Stroyo, Nostromo, John Sarson, Anima Rita, A Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Gray, Sigmo Hermaroni, Massive Ventures in Thailand, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanai, Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Nick Mangela, Vori, Anthony Charles, Jim Garner, Jamie Fox, Minting Coins, Miller, His Chest, Every Dan, Calcium's Leg Day, Yes to Crypto, Body, Bot Face, 97 Smouse, Staff, Arthmetic 17, Bake Me a Cake, Tigran Machinista on Crypto with Lano, Krela, Michelle, URL, and Bolero Bastos. Thank you very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel, and thank you to everyone who is a clicker of affiliate links. At the moment, the market's going up. Some coins are really boosting up. Other coins are just kind of going up. Bitcoin is currently up by 1%. It is up to $11,527 US. If we get any news that Bitcoin is looking bearish, I'm going to scream. If Bitcoin's price even falls, it's nonsense. It's absolute, I'm trying not to curse, it's absolute nonsense. You don't understand what's taking place right now. Even the news that we had that governments are hyper moving away from the US dollar is insanity. This has been the reserve currency for the last 80 years on this planet, and we are moving away from it. And the same exact countries who are saying that they're moving away from it are really into Bitcoin. Polkadot is currently up by 14%. I assume this pump will continue happening until the hype of Polkadot coming out will dissipate. I don't assume we're going to have 14% gains daily forever. Chainlink is up by 5. Cardano is up by 5. I don't think there was Cardano news, at least not in the last hour when I was looking. It could just be a, hey, they actually have staking and they've upgraded, so let's get to it. NEM is up by 19% because, NEM is the most popular blockchain on the planet right now. Yearn is up by 22%, same exact thing as the other one. BitTorrent tokens up by 9%, absolutely wonderful. Icon's up by 7%. Waves is up by 11%. Man, these numbers, they really get me. Do you get what I'm saying when I talk about, when I even say sarcastically, why are these coins up? Stop myself again from cursing. Why? I do hope that you all enjoyed my rambling. Please look at documentaries of the things I was telling you about before. If I figure out the names of any of these things, I will definitely tell you as well, because the world is not what you think. Everything just revolves around money and making money and figuring out how to get people to spend more money so that you can make more money. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Hope you all are taking care of yourself. Hope you all are having a great weekend. Make sure to do something fun, happy, go out with your friends, go for a walk, listen to some podcasts, just do something. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.